There's got to be some way to get another kid to call a teacher mama.
Well, there is one thing we haven't tried. Advertisers use subliminal messages to communicate with consumers secretly. The message is played at ultra-high speed or hidden in pictures so it gets inside your head and you don't even realize it.
Come on, Gretch. You expect us to believe that?
How else do you explain your rabbit's desire for winger dingers despite their lack of flavor or nutritional value?
Good point. Let's do this thing.
Mama, Daddy, Mama, Daddy, Mama, Daddy, Mama, Daddy, Mama.
Sounds like gerbils on helium.
That or Spinelli's salvation. Push the button, Vince.
What is that infernal chirping? The birds, they're planning something.
Uh-oh, the kindergartners must have given helium to the gerbils again.
You know, life with you guys is never boring. Shh, you hear something? It worked! You okay, man?
As good as can be expected, considering my life's like a Stephen King novel.
A roller coaster ride I couldn't put down.
You know, there's one thing I still don't understand. Why did the subliminal message fail? Works all the time for Madison Avenue.
Who knows, Gretchen? Who knows?
Well, so ends another day filling the empty minds of future generations. Good night, Mama.
Good night, Daddy.
How did you do that?
Liuan Say, legendary gambler. He bets on everything, anything, huge cash bets all the time.
But how did you know who he was gonna pick?
We told him to. We've been telling him all day. From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator. In the lobby. Even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, primers are everywhere. Now he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees far. Suggestions are everywhere, from the number of flowers in a vase.
That is genius.
Yeah, and it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for 5 is woo. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. Now, he's not registering it, but it's all there. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. And he thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
Do you want me to write it down?
And you, being in the dark, was the convincer. We call that the little blind mouse.
This ability to subtly influence people's choices without them being aware of it has been part of my skills and passions for years, and tonight we're going to take it to a new and unexplored level. But first, a potted history of subliminals. In 1957, this man, James Vickery, claimed that by flashing up in movie screens messages like, hungry, eat popcorn, thirsty, drink Coca-Cola, that he could make more people buy, and he claimed, Vickery, that he had tried this in cinemas in New Jersey, and that sales went up by 57%. Vance Packard then fueled the fire by supporting Vickery's claims in his book, The Hidden Persuaders. This led to a public outcry and the first banning of subliminal messages. But in 1962, Vickery admitted that his claims had been fabricated. It was a marketing ploy. But by this point, it was too late. In the 70s, another book called Subliminal Seduction created more unsubstantiated fear by claiming that subliminal messages were used in advertising. Now, this led to a United Nations report in which they concluded that subliminal indoctrination was, and I quote, a major threat to human rights. Now, because there is so much nonsense surrounding the idea of subliminals. Researchers now tend to talk in terms of PWA, which is perception without awareness, instead of subliminals. And the difference is that subliminals are invisible, whereas PWA you just don't pay attention to. Like, for example, if somebody whistles a tune and you're not really aware of them doing it, but later on you start whistling that tune yourself and you don't know why, that would be perception without awareness.
Oh, it's really like overwhelming. Like, I have no idea like how he would know that before I even sort of came up with it. It like, felt like such a free choice. Quite surreal, but really exciting, really good fun.
And Alice is here with us at the moment. Round of applause for Alice. Few of you clearly were getting a giraffe as well. Do you know why you were thinking of giraffe too? Would you believe me if I told you that I actually mimed a giraffe to her as soon as she came in through the doors? Oh, you picked up on it. I'll show you a couple of the things that we did. So we're going to have a walk right up to the top and stop over at various spots on the way. Various spots on the way. See it again? So we're going to have a walk right up to the top and stop over at various spots on the way. And then as we went in, I actually said giraffe right too. I don't know if you caught this, so you have to listen carefully, but keep going. Do you have a favourite toy when you were little? And again? Do you have a favourite toy when you were little? I don't know where the northern accent came from. That's giraffe, yeah? And there were loads of other subliminals throughout the store. A giraffe face printed on these T-shirts. With UV light, you can now see the word giraffe on the books we looked at. We placed pictures of giraffes on the escalators and on the walls, and giraffe print patterns all around the store too. We even had letters spelling the word giraffe hanging from the ceiling. So with all these subliminal messages, when Alice went off to make her selection, I was confident she would choose a giraffe. Thank you, Alice, well done.
Now, having somewhat successfully established my press credentials, and because you and I have at least one thing in common, which is that all of us deal with language all the time, I thought it might be nice today for me to come to you with some of my language complaints. Certainly not to blame them on you, although, of course, you are implicated. And not that you can help it. I mean, the problem is really with the people you cover. The politicians, the celebrities, and the lawyers. And although their level of insincerity is astonishing, it's still kind of fun to hear them talk. In particular, it's fun to listen to Washington talk. Whenever the issue of term limits comes up, I always tell people the only term limits I'm interested in would be to limit some of the terms used by politicians. They speak, of course, with great caution, because they must take care not to actually say anything. Proof of this, according to their own words, is that they don't actually say things, they indicate them. As I indicated yesterday, and as the president indicated to me, but sometimes they don't indicate, they suggest. Let me suggest that as I indicated yesterday, I haven't determined that yet. See, they don't decide, they determine. If it's a really serious matter, they make a judgment. I haven't made a judgment on that yet. When the hearings are concluded, I will make a judgment, or I might make an assessment. I'm not sure. I haven't determined that yet. But when I do, I will advise you. They don't tell, they advise. I advised him that I had made a judgment. Thus far, he hasn't responded. They don't answer, they respond. He hasn't responded to my initiative. An initiative is an idea that isn't going anywhere. When he responds to my initiative, I will review his response, take a position, and make a recommendation. See, they don't read, they review. They don't have opinions, they take positions, and they don't give advice, they make recommendations. And so, at long last, after each has responded to the other's initiatives, and each has reviewed the other's responses, and everyone has taken a position, made a judgment, and offered a recommendation, now they have to do something. But that would be much too direct. So instead, they address the problem. We're addressing the problem, and we'll soon be proceeding. That's a big activity here in Washington. Proceeding. They're always proceeding or moving forward. A lot of that goes on. Senator, have you solved that problem? Well, we're moving forward on that. And when they're not moving forward, they're moving something else forward, such as the process. We have to move the process forward so we can implement the provisions of the initiative in order to meet these challenges. No one has problems anymore, challenges. That's why we need people who can make the tough decisions. Tough decisions like how much soft money can I expect to collect in exchange for my core values? So that So that I can continue my work in government. Of course, no politician would admit to such a lowly station as working in government, serving the nation. I'm serving the nation. Another favorite distortion is public service. I'm in public service. I like America, don't you? The food is great, but the public service is terrible.